Hey everyone, Greg here. As you may know by now, I'm the co-founder and CEO of TripShock, an online reseller for water sports and tours. For the past 12 years, we've had the pleasure of working with hundreds of operators across the country, and we're looking to grow our community. It's free to sign up, and you only pay when we bring you confirmed bookings. We'll help you reach new customers, fill empty seats, and grow your business like so many have done with us over the years. Head over to partners.tripshock.com to learn more about our program, read testimonials, or speak directly with our supply team. As always, thank you for listening and enjoy the show.
They come to relax, enjoy the beach, have fun, and spend money. And that's where we come in. This is the Awkward Watersport Guys podcast. Find out tips on the best ways to market and operate a water sports business. If you're a water sports operator, you need to grow your brand, operate more safely, upgrade your operations, and of course, increase bookings. We're industry veterans, broadcasting from Dustin, Florida. This is the Awkward Watersport Guys podcast. And this is Kevin O'Neill and Greg Fisher.
Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 54 of the Awkward Watersport Guys podcast. On today's show, we are going to be talking to Dustin Miller of PPC Pros. He's also a new owner of a water sport company, Kind Vibe Outfitters, out of Venice, Florida.
Wait, what did you say? It's Kind Vibes.
Kind Vibes, yeah. What do you think I said?
I thought you said Kind Bob.
Kind Bob?
Yeah.
Kind Bob Outfitters.
Kind Bob Outfitters.
This is a picture of a guy named Bob just being kind.
It's like Bill Murray, like, what about Bob? Like
that's exactly what I was thinking. What about Bob?
Hey man, don't hassle me. I'm local. I love that shirt. I want to own one. Yeah. No. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, my hearing bad. Kind Vibes.
Kind Vibes. Yeah. And today we're going to be honing in on SMS marketing, which I think is a phenomenal topic. I can't believe we went 54 episodes and haven't even thought about SMS marketing.
Yeah. Well, everybody, I don't know. I hope it does well, because maybe we shouldn't call it I didn't mention that it's we'll just say call it
text message marketing.
No. We'll just say Dustin Miller with Kind Vibe, because all of our fucking listeners are nerds that want to hear other operator stories. You know, you guys are so weird. We look at our numbers, and anytime we do this is how you should learn, or it's we always have these we're dropping numbers, but anytime it's somebody so then I opened up my paddleboard business, and you guys are all yay! What the fuck, man? You guys love water sports more than anybody I've ever met in my life. Thank God, because you keep on listening to our show.
Yeah. We were in our stats the other day, and we're looking at all the episodes that had the most listens and downloads, and it's the most mundane topics that get the most views, like how to use your phone system, or refunds and cancellations, all the really basic topics, because I think that's something we think about constantly on a daily basis. And just to hear two people talk about it and see what we, they could be missing, or what advice that we can give, I think that's really important. And, I think with text message marketing, it's something that I think a lot of operators think about every single day, because how do we improve the communication between our guests? And text message is the best way to communicate in 2021.
I think a lot of operators run into the same problem that I did, where it's you did use a plugin through your website, and then you're getting they provide an app, and then the customers can talk to you, or they chat through your website. And what happens is these people are usually they're tire kickers, and you don't want to get into this forever long text thread with somebody who's just kicking tires, because if they're just calling you, asking you a bunch of that's the reason I got rid of it and issued, because man, I don't have time to answer all these questions. So this is SMS and text that is in a different context. This is somebody that is don't get me wrong, there's outreach, but it's done in a way so that you're not, there's other softwares out there that are not as clunky as a WordPress plugin that you have to chat with somebody via text. That's not what this is. This is a software that uses, AI to handle the heavy lifting on these sort of conversations.
Yeah. And like during the show, Kevin and I, we briefly talked about reviews, and, we get a lot of reviews for our partners on TripShock, and it's not because we say anything special. It's because we text people to leave a review. That's 100%. When we started doing that, our reviews went 5x overnight. So, again, it's not so much about the message, but how you're getting that message to people. And that's what kind of this show really is about.
Yeah, I'm going to catch so much shit from Steve Edwards, again, another marketer that I work with. I love marketers. I just randomly make friendships and hire all these different marketers. I just waste a ton of money just because I love talking to him. But I got to give Steve a shout out, because he was hammering me about this like pretty hard. And he's like, yeah, you got to, blah, 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 so we don't like endorse or not endorse. Like, there's a lot of people that can help you out with this, not just Steve from AMP or Dustin with PPC Pros. Like, there's a lot of guys that, and anytime you're hiring a marketer, I think the most important thing is, whether it be if they're doing ads for you or a web design or anything, that you have a great relationship with them, that they understand your vision. So when you're picking somebody to work with or to work for you or work inside your organization, you have to make sure that person not only understands the business that you're in, but understands your vision and who you are as a person, because your marketing and your advertising are direct extensions of your company, of your messaging, of who you are as a person. I firmly believe that. And I believe that the best marketers are going to be able to encapsulate your values. And even if you automate this process, the spirit of your company still has, you still have to figure out this messaging. You still have to work out this communication, because this is what you are doing with your customers. This is what a marketer is doing with their customers. They're communicating on behalf of you. So you have to make sure that whatever you do when it comes to your message, that it is reflective of your culture, of your values, of what it is your offering is, and what it is the value that you provide in your service or product.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect way to end the intro, right?
Well, I get it out there, man. Cause a lot of guys, like, a lot of crappy marketers are going to be like, you're going to get 10x ROI. And like, you know what I mean? It's going to be all this like bullshit. Like, you have to have a relationship with these people, because when I see companies that even have like great in-house marketers, man, there is a style and a vibe and a message that's like, if they're good, that's all yours. That's 100% you. So hashtag Kevin's Roundtable.
Yeah. Speaking, and I'm going to just pitch it real quick.
Do it.
We're getting close. Our Watersport conference is October 18th. Our room block filled up. Isn't that crazy? I had to add more rooms to our room block.
I don't even have one.
You see, yeah, I know.
I haven't got a room yet. I got a room. I don't know, man. I didn't get a room. I'm still like trying to figure out how the hell I'm gonna get there, man. I'm like, ugh.
But we did. But don't worry, we got more rooms added.
I got more room.
We still have tickets left. We're gonna max out at 100. I think
I can't. Can I just bunk with you, Greg?
You could, honestly. You could.
Yes.
But yeah, we have plenty of space still. But a lot of people are signing up kind of last minute. So get on to partners.tripshock.com, hit the Watersport forum, buy your tickets, book your rooms, and come and join us. We had a roundtable session meeting, or just to kind of pre-plan it. And it was that hour, Kevin, was like the most fun I think I've had in like 2 weeks. So when we got on the call, these are all the people that are presenting at the conference, and we all had beards. It was like the beard convention.
Was I wearing a shirt?
No, you weren't wearing. I don't know if you were wearing a shirt. And then poor Rachel, she comes in and she's just like the outlier here, But it was so fun.
One girl, 9 like burly fucking sailor water sports dudes. Like poor Rachel.
We had a great time on that call. I can't, if that's any precursor to this conference, then it's going to be a great time. Anyways, let's get the interview.
Yeah, let's get awkward.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're here with Dustin Miller, founder of PPC Pros and also a new water sport company out of Venice, Florida, Kind Vibe Outfitters. Dustin, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. What's going on?
Not much.
Dude, it just feels like we haven't talked in years, Dustin.
Yeah, it's been about, 3 hours?
Forever. It's been so
2
long.
hours.
Hey, as always, guys, full transparency. Dustin works with Destiny Water Adventures. He does our PPC as well as some new stuff he's helping us out with. I don't really like revealing too much about that. You know, I'm not giving away all of my secrets. I was even reluctant to have Dustin on the show because I don't want any of my competitors hearing Dustin calling him up and using him for marketing stuff, because it's like sort of like my ninja dude since the beginning. So me and Dustin do have a professional relationship, but it's not like he's paying to be on the show or anything like that. Dustin's got a cool story and he's really a smart guy. And so being a really cool, smart guy myself, I figured he'd bring a lot of value to the show. So Dustin, welcome, man. How you doing?
Thanks,
buddy?
man. Thanks, Kevin. Good to hang out with you in a different medium here.
We just got out of a meeting like 3 hours ago. So we figured, let's do it. Let's have tons of Dustin today.
Yeah,
All right, Dustin. So as we like to do, we want to know how you got into, digital marketing, and also why did you start a water sport company?
Yeah, so digital marketing, I got into like very, very beginning of it, like in 2007. And that was when I had a real estate business that I need to get more customers. So this new thing called Google Places came up back in those days. So I was like hacking SEO, and then AdWords Express came out. And it was probably AdWords proper before that. But I noticed from being a novice at the time, AdWords Express was like this easy thing. I get my reviews showing up at the top of Google. And that was like a game changer. Because nobody knew what it was at the time. They just thought I was the best, And I really wasn't the best, but I was good enough. Apparently I had some good reviews. So that's how I got into it. And then fast forward later, we've worked with all kinds of brands, all size companies, including tour operators, but, people from your local dentist up to multi-million dollar, tens of millions of dollars companies. So it's not just a local business thing that we've done, e-commerce, that whole thing. But that's how I got into PPC. It worked really well. I like the power of it. I like things that get results. We don't have to fudge numbers to try to make it look like things are working. You can track it. You could tell. So I like that. So with the tour company, the interesting part was, so I have a cousin who lives in Venice, Florida. Great guy. He's the only cousin that I have in my family that's my age and a guy. So because we're Italian, we have all these girl cousins, all these, great girl cousins. And he moved over there with his family a few years back. We have a company that he started that we've been working on, which boomed last year with COVID. We were able to take some of those profits, reinvest into a outdoor sports brand in Venice Outdoor Sports, which we sell e-bikes, kayaks, trailer hitches, all that sort of stuff. Well, we have a local tour guide over there was like, hey, you got the equipment, if we get the insurance and start running some tours and doing some rentals, let's do that. So our outdoor sports brand quickly is becoming a e-bike rental, kayak rental, snorkel tour, that type of a brand now, where we're able to, get people to use equipment we already own, basically, and just monetize in a different way, have some fun. I was really excited because, we're working with Kevin for a little bit, been working with some other tour operators. I know we can kill it. I'm not really too worried. So I'm just like, it's great. They're running all that. I'm handling basically the marketing. They're doing all the operations. And so I kind of just fell into it in that way, so to speak. I didn't exactly set out and say, this year I'm starting this company. Just kind of God brought it together in a weird kind of set of circumstances. So it's been great.
Now, Dustin, working with all these water sport operators, you've seen Kevin's business. Does that kind of play into you wanting to maybe start something, seeing, the opportunity, seeing that there's what the pandemic has done to the outdoor industry in general, creating an incredible amount of demand? Did that play into maybe some of the reasons why you started your company?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was a reason why we started the outdoor sports brand in general, because you couldn't get kayaks, e-bikes, or anything fun online, locally, anywhere, supply chain issues and all that. We actually had inventory, and we were able to get products. That was a big reason why that was started. But honestly, my cousin Jamie, who runs the show over there, him and my other partner Ryan, that's his lifestyle. He's got 3 kids and a wife and 3 dogs, and all they do every weekend is go fishing, kayaking, go e-biking. That's their lifestyle. So for them, it's really great because this is a business that we haven't, again, another business before that, which it makes money. We enjoy it, but it wasn't like a passion project where this is more of a passion project. This is a business that's a lifestyle for him. And for me as well. I love outdoor stuff, but I don't really get to do it in a while. I haven't had a vacation in a couple of years. But that is a big play. And then seeing Kevin's business, and the other operators we work with who are not only water sports, but just, outdoor activity type people. We have a guy we work with for even longer than Kevin, who's in Maui. And he does, tours and things like that. But everybody's booming. So I knew that if this is the year to get in, it'd be hard to fail, I think, in a lot of ways. Plus I understand the marketing behind it. So that was a big factor when my cousin came to me like, hey, we should do this. I was like, yeah, definitely. I'm not even worried. Like usually you're like, how are we going to monetize it? What's the best traffic source? How are we going to do it? I'm like, this is going to be a walk in the park,
So before we get into our main topic, which we're going to be talking today about SMS marketing, but what is the big difference between marketing a tour business and marketing like a product business, like an e-commerce store, like a tangible product business? Like, is there 1 or 2 things that come to mind and say, wow, this is why you need to hire someone in that does tour marketing because of X?
Yeah. I guess the big difference is, with e-commerce, you've got all kinds of other factors that come into play. It's sometimes a longer sales cycle. You've got, I wouldn't say there's no hard costs in running a tour business. Obviously there is, but it's just a different game plan. And normally you might have hundreds or thousands of products, which don't all perform the same way. And that, you have Google Shopping, you have regular different types of campaigns. But the one thing about e-commerce is it's 100% measurable for the most part, in the sense that people are buying their stuff online. With a tour operator, you guys are getting phone calls, which is one of the things we talked about today, Kevin. You don't always see that revenue. There's a lead gen side to it, which is people who are calling up to book or calling up with questions or whatever. And there's also the online booking side, right? So it's kind of like a hybrid of e-commerce and traditional lead gen that you kind of have to blend together to see how things work. So, in terms of understanding, like hiring somebody who understands the space, I think it does help. I wouldn't say I'm like the best, the genius in the space either. I'm not, but I understand the business model. I understand the challenges and also the attribution, which is a big thing. So a lot of the people we deal with, a lot of the other operators besides Kevin, and maybe when we first started, Kevin, they're not even tracking things, let alone correctly. And so like, they don't even know when things were working or not working until we came in and we kind of set it up for them. And I think that's a big thing. And then the way you set it up. So there's some interesting things I've been trying to work through with Fair Harbor tracking, for example, that, kind of muddle with the numbers, understanding how all that plays in, I think does help, because most people try to throw a pixel on a website and think that's going to work, or they just assume Google Analytics is always correct and go off those numbers. And I don't think that's a wise thing. And if you don't know what you're dealing with, I think that's going to be a little bit more challenging. So
I think we forget that our products are perishable. Once the day's done, you'll never get that revenue back. And that changes a lot of how we market, and especially with dynamic pricing coming into play with some of the reservation softwares, that we're getting tools to really monetize our products to the fullest. And it's a very exciting time to be in tours and activities, and because the technology is kind of catching up with everything else. But let's jump into SMS messaging. And Kevin came up with this topic. I think it's the perfect topic and the perfect timing to discuss it, because going back to what I just said, technology is starting to be more affordable for people to utilize these tools. So Dustin, walk us through SMS messaging. What is it? What ways do you apply it to a tour business?
Yeah. So first of all, I want to say, like, it's not just about the technology. I think the main thing is that you're talking about, how do I communicate with another human, right? Because a lot of times what happens is people get their mind stuck in the technology. Oh, but it's like this weird hack over here and this system over here and this platform. And really what we're talking about is, how do I have a conversation with a human, right? What is the easiest way to do that in the most convenient way. And a lot of times that can leverage automation, or that can leverage a templated, let's say a script, let's call it, versus, having a person have to do it, or trying to call them when they're not going to answer your call because they don't know who the heck you are, or your phone number says scam likely, right? So to me, the first point is it's not about the technology, because in 10 years, it might be something else. But to me, it's like, how do we get our message to the person that we want to get it to them in a timely fashion, right? In a medium that they are willing to accept and maybe even interact. And then what can we do with that to help the business? So I just want to start there. I'll say, like, for like overarching stats on text messages, a lot of your listeners have probably heard something like this, and we could all probably relate. Text messages have a 99% open rate. And I'll give you a link to where this is all coming from. It's coming from local projects, a compilation of different research organizations put together these stats. It wasn't me. 95% of texts get open and read within 3 minutes of being sent, and the average response time is 90 seconds. So just stopping right there, I mean, if you think about the times where you need people to check in, or you need to make sure that they bring something to their tour, or you need to make sure they have their ID when they're going to get a jet ski, or like all these things that come up. And if you think an email is going to handle that, the open rate for emails, the read rate for emails, the deliverability of emails is a lot lower. And you're really kind of putting the customer's experience on the line, right? Thinking that you're going to reach them when you're not, because you did your job, you emailed them. But did they get it? Who cares what you did if they didn't get it, right? It makes no difference. So I think that's one of the major points in terms of some of the stats. And then in terms of, okay, that's how people talk on their phones, or how they text. And what about with businesses, right? Because I text my wife back, I text my kids, I text them. Of course, I'm going to open up those texts. Well, according to this particular, the same study, they said 78% of people wish they could have a text conversation with the business. Now, how do they get this? Like, what are the questions they ask? How do they word? I have no idea. But the point is, I can personally attest to that, because I've done plenty of things around my house, and I prefer to text like the guy that's going to come over. Hey, what time you coming? How much does it cost? Can you send me over a quote? Like, whatever. I don't want to talk to them on the phone if I don't have to, because, what if you're in the middle of something? I can quickly text them without having to stop my day, tell my wife, hey, hold on, let me talk to this guy. Or maybe, you're doing something fun and you don't want to answer the phone because you don't know who you're going to end up on the phone with, right? Because you don't recognize the number. So I think that's one area. And then it looks like it says 90% of leads prefer to be texted compared to called. So I'm not really sure. Let me just put do not disturb on my Skype here. Sorry. I'm not really sure how they got that metric, but they also say response rates are 209% higher than those from phone calls. So imagine you're calling to confirm an appointment. Imagine you're calling for a cancellation. Maybe you got to tell them, look, guys, the weather's bad today. We can't have you out on the water, or something like that. How do you make sure everybody gets? How do you get a hold of everybody? Right? You can send an email, but do you really think they're going to see that? Kevin,
yeah. So just real quick, a lot of times don't ever feel like you need to stop just because I raised my finger. That's more of like me to Greg going like, I'm next. If you ever see me raise my finger in the middle of your thought, don't let that throw you off too much.
Right. I had teacher flashbacks.
I have a question coming. So my question is like, and maybe it's more like existential philosophical question. I love to like derail us like that, but I wonder where this happened, where we stop wanting to talk to each other. I fucking hate talking to people. Like I do. Like I don't want to. Like me and my wife will like always like arguing. Like who's making the call? You're making the call. I'm making the call for like the food or something like that. You know what I mean? Like if we're not just using like DoorDash or whatever. But I hate it, man. I don't want to talk to anybody. Or even like text for that matter. But people. I know that people have texted like we have a ton of different numbers out there, obviously for the business, but I mean for the 85 for my main business line number that was on all of our stuff, like I would go into our like Verizon app and I would see like a bunch of like random ass texts, I'm not, people are like, oh, let's just text this number. And so I wonder where this, because it is a dramatic shift. This is a major shift. So I have to imagine that like obviously like demographic has something to do with it. I don't know that. I think Gam is still probably calling, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know that she's necessarily texting, but it just seems like such a massive shift in the way we communicate. And it seems like almost like a fast one. Like those are dramatic numbers that you're mentioning, like these 90% of people would rather text than they would call. And anecdotally, I'm the same way. You know, I don't really want to talk to anybody. So I just wonder why that is. Like, what has happened in the buying experience where you're just like, I don't want to. Probably because it's like, oh, I don't want to talk to a salesman. You know, I just
think about it like this: how many businesses do you fax something to now?
Oh,
it's not because you. I mean,
people
probably didn't like have anything really wrong with fax at the time, but new technology has come out to make it more convenient, easy. That's why we have email, right? So I think with new technology, much like Greg's talking about with dynamic pricing, with new technology comes a new norm, right? It just is. Why do people like use messenger apps? Why are they on Facebook commenting instead of like actually talking to their friends anymore? I think it's just because now they have another option that's more convenient. And personally, I think we've also been bombarded with so much crap that we don't even want to hear all the noise. We just want to do it our way, in a way.
I prefer courier pigeon. So when I'm done with all my fax in the morning, like I fucking roll up all my little messages. I put them in their little fucking talons. If I can go deliver them all over the fucking my direct response marketing via carrier pigeon and Dan Kennedy style.
Yeah. Well, also we are so impatient nowadays. We are so freaking impatient. When I call, like the other day, I called the SBA, and was awful. It was an awful experience. You know, you have to go through 10 prompts, then you gotta wait on hold. And I always, before I even make a phone call, I'm like, can I get these people on a live chat or can I send them an email? Because I don't want to waste 30, 45 minutes of my day. Sometimes my assistant, she'll just call and go on hold for 40 minutes so I can, and just knock on my door when they're ready. I mean, it's a big waste of time. And you see more companies investing less resources into their call center and more on chat and other things. So the more things they do like that, the less I don't want to talk on the phone. It's just like this big generational shift in phone. And plus, I feel like a lot of Gen Z, I think they're kind of scared of even having confrontations and phone calls with people.
Yeah.
You know, having to negotiate with somebody on the phone, and people like to process information. Like if I'm negotiating with somebody, it's so much easier when you're texting or emailing because you have time to process it. When you get someone on the phone, you got to think quickly. You got to be have to be ready for it. So I think there's a lot of other things that come into play from a business perspective, which makes it easier to do text or email. And plus for me, just considering of like how sue happy people are these days, I like email and text messages because I have proof of my conversations. But that goes into another whole rabbit hole of things.
So the other thing is I wonder how hard it's going to be for. I mean, I've dealt with other businesses. For some reason, it seems like tour operators, definitely water sport people, like which tend to be a little backwards, a little tend to like cling to our if it ain't broke it, don't fix it ways. I don't know a lot of tour operators personally that are really employing tax. It wasn't just at your behest, Dustin. I was hammered by this, but with Stephen Edwards, a friend of ours and a contributor to the show and buddy in our group, because I had to be full because he would give me shit. He's like, don't act like you're the king of SMS because I was bothering you about why aren't you using SMS? Because I was like, oh yeah, you know, I got to really get like my email dialed in fucking for my review requests and shit. You know, it's like because we stopped because you know Fair Harbor does have these sort of like clunky, bad, you know, versions of this stuff. You can use Fair Harbor, you can use Peak Pro, but any of you guys out there that are listening, like just understand they don't do a good job at it. This is not what it's a nice feature for them to have. If it's something that you don't want to fuck with, don't get me wrong. Fair Harbor does offer this. Peak Pro does offer this communication, but not in the same. It's not in the same like conversational way. They have these as like automatic. It's like very stiff. It's very prompt. What Dustin and a lot of the other agencies that are out there that are in our space, like it's I don't know. The technology is far beyond me. I don't understand it. I don't get what makes what they do better than what Fair Harbor does. Other than I've been seeing results working with Dustin and I don't know, man. It's I can imagine there's going to be some pushback from, because Greg, I know you use these same systems and processes through TripShock too. I see a ton more reviews and a ton more engagement converting through TripShock than even through my own GMB, which I always find super frustrating. I'm like, that's cool. That's great. Leave me a great review on TripShock. That's fantastic. Also go to Google. Review me over there. That's no offense to TripShock, but I think Google's got a couple more eyes than they do. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Well, let's unpack that. So, Dustin, where does tour companies and SMS marketing kind of converge? Like, what are some of the things that we're missing?
Yeah, I mean, so I think the opportunities are great. So there's going to be lead gen in the sense of conversion rate optimization, right? So how do we get more people who came to our website or came to our whatever or heard about us turn into a customer, right? So one of the ways is some people are not going to just book online, and some of you guys are too busy to answer your phone. Okay, so give them the option to text chat. So now you can have one of your staff members who might be too busy to answer the phone for 30 people in an hour, but they can have 5 text conversations at the same time, because you're not having to focus on, like you said, Greg, that live communication. You have a few minutes to talk it over. You have a few minutes to get back to people. So that's one way to leverage your staff, right? So not having to hire 2 more people, have one person who can do more and save yourself some money in that way, as well as offer people, as we've seen in the stats, a way they really want to ask a question. And maybe they don't want to wait on the phone for 5 minutes on hold to ask you, hey, do you have availability today? Why not? I mean, of course, they can look on the online calendar, but people are lazy. Sometimes they don't do that. So maybe they just send a text. Hey, you guys have an availability for X and X today? They send a text. You can respond. Yeah, we do. I'm going to book you. Sure, great. So you can have those conversations. So I think in one way, increasing your conversion rate by getting more of the traffic you're already paying for, you're getting it one way or another to turn into a lead. Another way is, if you're running a tour that's based on a group of people, right? And you've got those people who show up late all the time, why not? And they show up without what they need all the time, and they're not ready. Their waivers aren't done, whatever it is. Get a message out to them. If you're going to leave at, let's say, 1 p.m., send them a text 2 hours early that says, hey, your tour starts in 2 hours. Remember to bring this, that, and the other thing, or you will have a delay, or whatever it is. Hey, your tour starts in 10 minutes. Make sure you're over here by this particular place. All based on information you're pulling through Fair Harbor about their booking. Right. So that's a way to, is it going to make you more money? I mean, I say, yeah, in the sense that you're not going to be late for stuff all the time. You're going to have a better customer experience, because some people are on vacation. They just want to have fun. They're hungover as heck. They're not thinking about you. They're not thinking about your schedule. They're thinking about the margarita they're about to drink and the one they had 3 hours ago. So like those text reminders, I think, will help people do what they need to be doing. Right. That's one area. Reviews. So Kevin, we kind of obviously beat this one to death, but people will respond to reviews a lot easier with text. I mean, they just will. First of all, it's just because they're seeing the request. The whole reason why email doesn't work as well is because people don't see it. They never get it. Or it's so easy to delete it because there's 500 other emails in their inbox and you're not a priority. And even if they say, I'll do it later, by the same day, the same time the next day, your email is now 3 pages in. It's like the first page of Google or the second page of Google. Nobody goes there, right? You don't go back pages in your email inbox a lot of times, right?
Even if that text message is a spam, they're going to read it and engage with it like 90-something% of the time.
Yeah. And they might say, leave me alone, but okay, yeah, we'll leave you alone. But at least you responded. We know you saw it, right?
Yeah.
So my question is can you, like, with the different technologies and marketing software out there that's available, are you able to create, like, could you potentially create different funnels based on different needs? So meaning that, like, if you put in this information, let's say, like, for example, like, I'm a huge fan of upsells. Let's say you want to sell somebody a t-shirt, or you have an additional product somebody might be interested in. Can you sort of like put these like different, can you put like, so if I have a group of people that have converted on a jet ski tour, but we want to sell them, like damage coverage, and we sell basically insurance. So let's say we've only had a 10% take rate. So this leaves 90% of current jet ski renter tour folks that have yet to purchase damage coverage. Can we put them into a bucket? Is there a way to automate this process to say like, okay, well, you haven't bought damage coverage, like let's hit them with a text message as well that says, hey, just in case you forgot, accidents happen, damage protection.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, what we're doing right now for you, we're pulling in the type of rental that they're getting. We're pulling that they are renting a pontoon. We pull the start date, the end date, the revenue for it. Not that we need it for what we're doing now, but we can build out a calendar and build out a funnel to tell this is the longer term is attribution, because now you've got all your data coming through one place, right? It's like with analytics, we talk about phone calls and that revenue, which you can never find through analytics, but this might be a way to do that. Some other conversation, but yeah, you can build out funnels for that. And you could say, look, if 90% of people are not buying it, then just send that crap to everybody. You don't even need to do anything fancy and say, oh, let's not send to the people who buy it. All you got to do is say, hey, if you didn't already buy your travel insurance or your damage insurance, do it now. And we can also do text to pay links where you can do that. I mean, very simple.
At what point do you feel that it becomes saturated or that people are feeling like bombarded? Because the last thing you really want to do is like it's obviously you don't want to be like super annoying, like, hey, don't forget your damage protection, hey, don't forget your sunscreen, like, hey, don't forget to get it early for like, Jesus Christ, man, what are you, my girlfriend? Stop texting me, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's just you have to think about that, right? Like, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Like, you're not going to text them every 10 minutes, right? You got to really think about it. You might text them one time about the damage control. I mean, I say damage control, damage insurance. You might text them one time about, hey, your tour leaves here, bring this, right? You're going to text them maybe one time after the tour ends to get a review like the next day. That's 3. You don't need to text them 500 times. If you find it, no, actually, there's a 4th one, which I think is a great use case. I don't know how it would work on the back end for the money, but what about tour guides and people who don't get their tips because nobody has their wallet? Nobody's got cash. How do you get that money from them? Text them a link and say, hey, a lot of people don't have their wallets on these tours, but 100% of this money goes to your guide. Just text this button to pay. And there's a way you can pay, right? You can either send a PayPal link if you want, or you send them a link to like a third-party system and get your guys paid more. And then it doesn't cost you anything, really.
So, Kevin, I got a question for you. You know, your repeat customers are what, about 15%, 20%?
Man, I don't know.
I'll tell you, for Trip Shock, our repeat customers are 7 or 8%. It's really small. At least it might be more, but that's what our data says.
Mine might be a little bit higher because of because we're 15 and 20% would be fair.
Okay. All right. So you're talking maybe 75 to 80% or more are new customers that you might not even ever see again.
Right.
So who gives a shit if you text them 5 or 6 times? They're not going to walk away from that experience and say, that damn company texted me 5 times, my vacation is ruined. The worst, if they have a great time, especially, they're not even gonna matter. That's why we are a little more liberal when it comes to our browse abandonment campaigns and our cart abandonment campaigns. They get 3 emails in a 24-hour period. And the reason why they get that many emails is because we know that people that convert, they usually convert 80% of the people who convert. It's their first visit. So you really got to get them when they hit their website, because if they're very unlikely to come back for that second time. So we hit them really hard with those browse abandonment, text message, all that stuff, or remarketing. We hit them really hard for that first 24-hour period. And then it drastically, our saturation for that customer drastically goes down. So, sometimes you have to be aggressive, knowing that the product is perishable and knowing the trends that people are buying almost immediately once they visit you.
No, I was going to say, one other use case that, you talked about repeat, and this is something that I think, Kevin, we talked about on a phone call in passing ever so briefly, but what about your locals, right? What about people who are there all year round during your slow season? Why not have a way to get them taking a tour, right? Give them, maybe it's an off-season special. Maybe it's, hey, your birthday's coming up, or hey, have a party for a Super Bowl, or hey, like there's people who maybe won't be traveling into the area all the time. And it depends. I got guys that are in Alaska. So most people are not just hanging out in Alaska, right? But in Florida, where we're at, it's very common that people will drive an hour or two to do that. But if you maybe, and this could be also email, it doesn't have to only be text message. The point is, this is a way you can get an offer in front of people. And that same study I was referencing, there's actually a stat on that. It said 75% of people like offers sent via text, but no more than 2 times a month. I was like, wow, I'm surprised to even hear that, because most people don't like offers. But if it's a good offer, if it's relevant, and say, hey, look, you took a pontoon tour with us. Hey, look, man, thanks for your business. You were here in August or whatever. Because you're a customer, we just want to let you know we're offering whatever, 10% off during off season if you want to book something, or for this particular time of the year, hey, get on the water with, for the New Year's or something. I mean, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Just come up with ideas to keep yourself busy during the off season when typically you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs, shutting things down. Why not find a way to get basically a VIP list of locals that you can reach out to without having to go through a lot of hoopla and get them back out there, get them booking with you again. It reduces basically your acquisition cost goes way down. I'm sorry, not your acquisition cost, but your lifetime value goes way up for those people, because now you're double selling them, right? And if you got 15% of people, I'm not going to mention your numbers here, obviously, Kevin, but that's a number of people you might be able to recapture maybe 20, 30% of that number. That's a good number, man.
Yeah.
Dustin, I want to go a little deeper into just the legalities of it. So email, we could be a little more liberal with it. I mean, we send emails to people who book and don't necessarily opt in, but with text message, it's a whole different playing field, because if you spam on text, you can get in big trouble. I mean, there's some really heavy laws, and I hear horror stories from bigger brands. We don't mess around with that. Mm-hmm. We focus only on text message communication that's relevant to their buying experience. But for if someone booked with us last year and we're not sending them offers, we'll do that through email and those workflows there. Mm-hmm. But what are the ways that you suggest a good lead in for a VIP list? I mean, what are some opportunities to acquire those messages legally and efficiently?
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously a discount's always one thing people do, right? Could be that there was one guy I talked to who's also in Florida, a different market than you, Kevin, and he has basically a membership. You pay a monthly membership to be able to rent a certain number of hours a month on a jet ski or on a pontoon. It's basically a payment plan, basically, where it's almost like a gym membership. You go as much as you want, you pay X amount, and there's some stipulations behind that. So there's ways you can get people in on a recurring that will obviously make it relevant to be texting them regularly. There's ways to get them in to buy a discount. Look, hey, join our VIP club and get, and you have to have some legal verbiage here, and I'm not a lawyer, up to 2 texts a month, blah, blah, blah. You get that on the opt-in. And then you're setting the expectation that they're going to get text. So the idea is not to go out there and get a list of people and just spam them. It's a way to engage your already existing customer base, and to get more people in, it could be a giveaway. That's another thing that we didn't talk about. Win a birthday party on the water, right? Enter to win. Could be a Facebook ad you could run. Build up your email and your SMS list. People will expect to get messaged about that, right? That's one way to do it. It could just be part of your terms of service when they get a booking from you that they're agreeing to be texted. And of course, you have an opt-out option there, or that you can make it default that they're not opted in unless they check that box, but incentivize them. And some people are willing to do that. So I think there's different ways to do it. It really depends how you're going to use it. So if you're talking about a local VIP thing, I think running ads locally about a way people could take advantage of it, like a giveaway, win a trip for 8 on the water, for whatever, the weekend. You get 2 days, you run that ad to local people. We get giveaway opt-ins for less than $1 each out of Facebook for way less cooler stuff than that. And it doesn't mean that they're all great customers at some point, but they're sharing with their friends, they're posting, they're doing all that. And we're able to build this, relatively easily like that. And again, your terms of service have to be clear on those opt-in pages. I mean, that's one way to go.
I mean, and you can always do both. You can say, save $5 on your trip today.
Yeah, join our list.
Join our list, and then also you get entered into a birthday giveaway. I would only offer the text message mainly to locals. If I had a smaller budget, anyways, I would really target locals, because a tourist that comes here once every 3 years getting 2 texts. I think that's
it doesn't make any
wise
sense.
investment. Yeah, it would be locals, and I know Kevin does a lot of business with locals.
You should. Yeah. So you're saying that like maybe you shouldn't sell your like list, your phone number list to like the meet hot singles in your local area is illegal. I was like, I'm always like, man, like how many people, like why are people texting me to meet hot singles in my area? It just seems like, do you guys not get this spam? Like,
I don't think I get those texts.
It's our, for some reason it's our area because my wife gets them too and I get them and it's just, yeah. The best part about it is that when those texts come, they text like 50 people at a time or 10 people at a time. So then like someone will respond and say, stop. And then everybody gets it. And then the next guy's like, stop. And my phone is dinging nonstop for 30 minutes because they don't understand that you're texting everybody in the group.
Oh my God.
And then finally, like you'll see somebody that has a half a brain that says, if you guys keep doing this, we're going to continue getting these text messages. So just delete it and stop. And then the next person says, okay, ding, 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 ding. It's literally hysterical.
It's like Galaxy Quest when they had that grenade in the desert and everybody kept picking it up. And I don't know if you guys saw Galaxy Quest, that old movie.
Tim Allen.
Tim Allen. Yeah.
So why is it that like you're not the only like guy like in the marketing space that like wants to get into tourism? Like I always think it's funny is like because I've always like considered, I'm like, man, you know, I want to start like a marketing agency. You know, it seems like really fun and super cool. Like, and people think I'm crazy. Like, man, I just want to sit in a nice office with 4 tiny little nice plants behind me and my little therapist couch. Like you guys don't have video, but that's the background of Dustin, you know, and like mine's just like this like terrible messy. Like if I were in my office like down and where my shit is, like there'd be like oil and people swearing everywhere. I was like, why do you guys want to get into this space, man? It just seems so like it's so I want to switch gears a little bit and get back and go back to your tour company. So this is gonna be your first year in operations?
Yeah, it's going to be we're starting up. We already booked our first couple of tours in the last couple of weeks. So, I mean, we're literally just starting up. I mean, this is not
and where exactly is this?
Venice, Florida. So we're just about an hour south of Tampa on the west coast.
Who do we know in Venice? Why do I feel like we know? Do we have an operator?
I think you're thinking Chris Woodruff.
I am. Where's that? Vero Beach.
Vero Beach, yeah.
Yeah, that's on my side of the state. So that's on the East Coast. We're on the west coast of Florida.
So have you guys has there been any challenges been? I mean, obviously you got like the marketing down, you got the advertising down, you got the website stuff down. Is there any other challenges you feel or any curveballs you guys been thrown or anything?
I mean, not yet. It's a little too early, but I think managing it all with not enough people is going to be fun because we've got I think we're going to run into these issues of availability and not being able to potentially take on as much as we'd like. Yeah, like trying to staff up because the guy we have now running is really great, but you're going to get overworked. But what happens when you take a day off? What happens when you call in? What happens when things happen? People have booked. How's that going to go? Like I can already see that. And I'm not saying that this person is going to do a bad job or that's going to be an issue, but life happens, man. You can't control it. So
what you said e-bike, that's not those like scooters that you see like everyone dropping off everywhere and picking up on the app, is it?
No, this is an actual, I have one in my garage, but it's an actual e-bike. The thing I get up to like 35 miles an hour on this thing. It's freaking awesome. It's like a fat tire, like bike. It weighs like 60 pounds, but and there's a mountain bike. I have like the chill one, but there's like the mountain bike one. So people in this area, they bike a lot. There's a bike trail right next to our place, right next to our location. So like we're literally right at the bike trail and also like 2 miles from the kayak launch. So we're like right there, which is great. So people see us because they're coming and going. And it's just another way when you're in town for vacation. There's a lot of snowbirds, South Florida or Southwest Florida. And so people are not here bringing all their stuff with them, right, from their house up north. So they want to rent the bike. They want to go around for a while. Or they just want to go on a tour and see there's some ancient Indian burial mounds over there. Apparently, I had no freaking idea. But they're going with this guide and seeing some really cool stuff. So it's just really nice.
Man, it's so funny. I hear I hear everybody's voice like I talk to, man. Like, and I don't like, I like to be like a study of human. Like when we talk, so we did a show last week was on like diversification. and everybody in this, we're like, I'm in the midst of starting some new stuff too. But you can always hear like the day job voice and then the hopeful entrepreneur voice. You're like, oh, it's like e-bikes and like kayaks and paddle boards. And, man, like you can hear like your voice, like on an upward scale, so we're talking like PPC and like, we need to reduce the cost, Dustin, it's like, oh, you got it. And like your voice, like, kind of like goes down. So I just find it really funny, especially in this industry, because like people is like, yeah, you're doing like paddle boards. I'm like, yeah, we got like kayaks and like paddle boards.
You're bored of it already.
Yeah. Oh,
You're like, I don't want to talk about this stuff. I mean, honestly, that's one of the main reasons you said, like, why get into this type of a thing? Why is it such a great, business to have? Because if you're going to be sitting around doing something all day, at least let it be something fun. When you're doing marketing for an e-commerce brand that sells stuff that you don't care about, I mean, yeah, you can get them results. I mean, I care about I love marketing, don't get me wrong, but when it could be marketing something that's actually fun, that people are like, you look at the reviews you're getting, Kevin. I mean, look at the responses you're getting. People are having a freaking awesome time. And the same thing you're probably doing as well, Greg. I mean, you guys are giving people the things that they're going to remember when they're freaking 50 years from now, if they're lucky. They're going to be remembering that time with their kids that they did that, okay? When you buy a damn widget on an e-commerce store, chances are you're not going to remember what it is unless it's an ED treatment device. And now your marriage is better, right? Like, you're probably not going to remember that transaction.
A what? Wait, a what? A what? A what device?
It was a joke with like an ED treatment for guys.
ED.
I'm just saying, your wife.
No, that's like one of my super passionate. I'm super passionate about ED products, dude. No.
Oh no.
Cialis, Viagra, dude. I love it all, man.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I don't even have ED, but I use it as an enhancement.
Yeah.
Because I thought that's what you said, and I got excited. No, ED? Yeah. Are you kidding me? I can tell you my last.
That was for you, Kevin. I love it. That was for you.
You know what's funny is I get these. Now that I'm like in my late 30s, I get all these ads served to me because I'm like in that affinity group now for like ED products. But when I see those sponsored ads, it also says all my friends that have liked it. So now I know all my friends that have ED problems. And so when I talk to them and they're telling me about all their problems, like with their marriage, I'm just thinking like, well, I think I know what your problem is. You don't got to tell me though, but that's the creepy. So, you can't like anything nowadays because Facebook's going to give away all your.
And listen, for anybody that's out there listening, I don't hawk shit a lot, but I do talk about things I really like. Let's just be honest here. You don't need ED to have fun with Viagra. Like, let's just be fucking 100% honest here, man. It's like, you don't need steroids, but fucking to make you lift weights a lot better. Well, I always do. If you've never listened to the show, Dustin, it's a weird place, man.
I have.
I think your eyes like open like wide when you hear me start saying like motherfucker and like cocksucker and all sorts of crazy shit, man. I'll fucking say whatever I want.
Yeah, this is the part where I decide whether I'm going to edit this out, but usually I keep it in.
Yeah, I've
heard you keep it in. I've heard a few episodes. It doesn't get edited out very often.
Well, because frankly, the fact of the matter is, dude, like most of the operators, they don't like their offices don't look like your motherfucking office. They look like my fucking offices.
Yeah,
like fucking like Alka-Seltzer and fucking, you know what I mean? Fucking crazy pills, like fucking. They look like my office, like a crazy. Like most operators are fucking crazy people, and especially in watersports, though we're a very special brand. But I mean, your office is all like clean and white and nice. Greg got nice artwork in the background. You saw my artwork earlier.
Yeah, I love it. I love that.
Yeah, well, I think it's awesome, man. I think it's fantastic. I love to see people get into like the lifestyle end of things, man. And then once you can, and we talk about this a lot, and especially in the last episode, and something I've been like, we always like talk about like how you can start to get involved into other things or how you can add ancillary products to your initial offerings. And I think it's really sort of cool to see that the industry sort of like learn from one another, especially a service-based industry. Like you're not going to buy like you're not like buying a parasail ride on like eBay or something like that, or doing like a virtual jet ski ride. So, but in order for us to thrive and survive in this market, we have to adopt these practices that all all the giant companies are employing, and because they result in more sales, they result in more conversion. So we have to keep an eye on this. You can't just have your head inside of a jet ski or, on your fucking paddle boards or whatever, e-bikes, whatever you may be doing. Like, you have to see how things are being sold, how human interaction happens. So I always like to see like the play between these industries start to happen, because traditionally in water sports, man, guys are using like sticky notes and pencil and paper. And it's like, well, I don't have a computer, man. I'm on the beach. How do you run a jet ski off a beach and start to employ some of this stuff? But now that we have these amazing little computers at our disposal at all time, like, yeah, man, you can use this stuff anywhere at any time. And I'm with the texting, I'm super guilty. In the beginning, when we built our website, we had like a chat functionality on the website, and then it was coming through, like I was getting notifications through the app on my phone, and that was fucking like I just couldn't do it anymore. So in our industry too, because of the lifestyle aspect of it, guys get overwhelmed because a lot of operators feel like they need to wear, and it's every small business owner, that you feel like you need to wear every hat at all times. And this is where companies have a problem with scalability. Nobody wants to like pay for this service when it's like, well, I built my site on Wix and they had like the Wix chat app. So why would I just, but at the same point in time, I'm doing this. I'm like, oh, fucking answer. Oh, you're upset. I'm sorry. Oh, so it's just like, oh, fuck text. I'm not dealing with it anymore because I have to deal with it. So to see these products that are coming out that are using like AI and more of this, at least you're getting a conversation, because that's the first thing I've seen is that the responses are like, people are like, oh, this is like, Kevin's like texting me. Let me tell you, Kevin, oh, I love you so much, or worse, let me tell you, Kevin, why I fucking hate you so much. So to be able to have that technology to sort of like, delegate that to, our AI gods or whatever that are coming to take over our souls is definitely an interesting concept. But I also I will say that probably most operators are pretty kind of like, their eyes glaze over when you start to talk about it, because it's they feel like they got to do it themselves. And Dustin, like, you've been helping us out with this. You said that like mostly like scripts, but if you have like a concerning, then you can get away from sort of the canned responses and have a member of your staff step in and maybe deal with something that's actually really
we're already doing that for you. You don't even know that, but we're already doing that for you.
Yeah,
because you have to, and I know that, Greg, you had something you want to interject, but I think the one thing is that I'm trying to do here, and this is something I think for operators in any business, is I'm trying to leverage technology so you don't have to leverage human capital, because human capital is fickle, it's expensive, it's unreliable, and I love humans. I am a human. I have 2 little humans and a wife, so I mean, nothing against humans here, but it's easier, like if it's something a human shouldn't have to do because it's redundant or is repetitive or it's not necessary, then you don't have to do that, right? I think it's just a paradigm shift. Now there's things that we can have technology help us with. It's never going to be the Terminator and run by itself 100%, but you can have humans leveraging technology to get more done, and it doesn't have to be the operator, the owner operator. It shouldn't be the owner operator. And honestly, like, what I'm hoping for is having a way that it's a done for you thing. So all you need to do is pay for it. Maybe you approve some of the template for messaging. And again, this is like talking a few months down the road here, and you deploy it in your business. You cover the cost. Somebody else runs it for you. You get the benefit without, you're paying money to do that, of course, but the return on it is usually going to be a lot better depending on what you're doing, depending on how well you take care of customers, depending on how you use it. So the idea is not, here's more for you to do, learn this technology and try to figure it out. The idea is, let me take what's already working and bring it into my business, like you do with a jet ski. You don't go out there and you don't put people on your back and paddle them around the water. You freaking buy a damn jet ski, right? So that's what we're talking about here. There's technology that will do some of this so you don't have to do it as much, or when there's times that you need to interject because, like, for example, in our case, somebody doesn't respond in a way that you're hoping that they would respond, or you're not sure how you should respond from an AI perspective. Okay, then let a human, like a human rollover. Okay, let a human take care of that. Let a human respond to that.
I do paddle people around. Actually, it's called
the
Kev Tour 5000, and I can tell you, ladies, I never had a problem with ED.
Well, Dustin, jeez, Kevin's always going to wrap it up like this. Well, we really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your wisdom. But I do have one last question. Everyone's probably asking, okay, I'm sold. I need to do SMS. Where do I start?
Yeah, the simplest thing.
You can definitely pitch your company if you'd like to.
No, I mean, people want to reach out to me and talk turkey. That's fine. Like ppcpros.co, like CO. That's fine. You can reach out and use the chat widget because I drink my own Kool-Aid here. But I think the simplest place to start is just making it simple would be get reviews using SMS, because you're going to open up conversations and it doesn't have to be just reviews. It could be feedback. You're going to start engaging with your customers that way. I think you're going to start to see, wow, like people are not upset. Like people actually don't mind.
Are there a few services that you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, so we're using one obviously internally that you can talk to me about whatever. Again, I'm not sold on the technology. I think that the SMS-based web chat is better than the desktop web chat, because if people leave your website, then that's it. That's over. Podium is a pretty big company that, like, basically we have the same technology that we're using for people that Podium sells to operators for 2 to 3 times the cost with less. Like, there's really no hand-holding. There's really no setting up things.
WordPress plugins too, correct?
I don't know. I haven't used any of the WordPress plugins. I'm sure that they do. I mean, it just depends on, again, what functionality you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, like we use Amazon, but it's more of a sophisticated. You need a developer to implement all that. But there's like Live Chat Inc. I think it's, or livechat.com. I forget the domain. But yeah, there's a lot of different ones that even have like a hybrid chat and SMS tool built in. But I mean, you go to Google and search and you'll see a lot of different options, and just do some demos or just read some reviews. But if you have that, and good, or just if you have a reservation software, talk to your account rep and ask them which ones that they connect with. That's a good start too.
Yeah, we're integrating with Fair Harbor using Zapier. So that's how we're doing it to get that data in. I mean, you can do it through other things. You could do a custom API integration, but I don't think you need to. I don't think it's worth it.
All of them, Peak Pro, Jason Morehouse's company, man. Checkfront. They all have integrations. I'm pretty sure that I know Peak Pro for a fact uses Zapier. But most of your larger, but I want to jump in there and say that like a lot, unless you're using something like Podium or Twilio or something like that, which I haven't been like amazed or anything by the capabilities that they offer, and it's expensive. The internal stuff that they use, like it's very basic. They'll reach out. They might have like a drip campaign functionality, but usually it's just like 24 hours after their tour. It's like, hey, can you give us a 5-star review on Google or TripAdvisor or whatever? And there's really no much more than that. It's just like a quick reminder. So I'm never a big fan of that. Every operator gets it and uses it. But the conversions are nowhere. I mean, the conversions have been nothing like, what Dustin's been doing for us. So,
well, Dustin, thanks again for spending some of your valuable time to come on and talk about SMS and your business. We wish you the best of luck. We hope to see you at the Watersport Conference next month. And
that's in our group.
You're in our group. He's in our Facebook group. So
Dustin Miller.
You can hit him up and ask more questions. And if for everyone listening, make sure you join our Facebook group, Watersports and Tour Professionals. Check out our website, watersportpodcast.com. Follow us on social media. We have a Facebook. We have an Instagram that Kevin's doing a phenomenal job managing. And but anyways, everyone, hey, thanks again. And as always, keep it awkward.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
You've been listening to the Awkward Watersport Guys podcast. If you're in the water sport industry, this is the podcast that brings the business perspective to parasailing, jet and ski boat rentals, sailing, snorkeling, and everything else. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show. Be sure to sign up to our email list at watersportpodcast.com and subscribe in your favorite podcast app. We'll see you next time, and thanks for listening.